Well, of course, some may remember what an interesting event it was, what an upset it was back in 1948 when Truman defeated Dewey, and everybody seemed to think it would be the other way around. I thought I'd have a little satire of it there to kind of hint at the equivalent of the thing happening in our day and age here. This, of course, is the famous magazine that proclaimed the victory of Madam President Hillary Clinton. Well, I think we all realize she was always 5 to 10 points ahead in just about every poll you can think of. It was certain to be, it was a done deal, a no-brainer. You know, she was going to win, and there really wasn't a question about it. But, just in case, all the artwork and writing and printing plates and everything had also been prepared for this eventuality as well. However, this was the one they actually ran first because they really thought this would be the case. Now, Newsweek placed an order to Topix. You can actually see it on here. It's kind of tiny. Topix Media to do the actual printing. And they procured 125,000 of these. They ordered 125,000, and that's how many were shipped to Newsweek. And Newsweek then shipped these out to all the stores and newsstands and everywhere else you could think of. They were told not to put this out till the election results were certain. But they were so confident that they hadn't even bothered to do this, to even print this one yet. And you can actually tell there's a difference here. If you look on the release date, it's very small. It's hard to see if I can get that. It says, just it's a little fine print there. Maybe I can pull it in. Maybe not. Here. It says, anyway, it says display until January 14, 2017. The Trump one, by the way, says display until January 21, 2017. So that probably is indexed to when it actually got printed. You can see the number here is 74470, which here is the same. 74470. And then this part here, 28980. See if I can bring that in. Okay, 28981. So it was the very next one. Anyway, so they shipped out 125,000 of these. And apparently a small handful of news sellers, or maybe even just one, actually put it out for sale prematurely. And reportedly 17 copies had been sold, a mere 17. Then, as the actual election results began to come rolling in, it became clear that that was not the result, and they needed to take this off and ship them all back. And except for the 17 that actually legitimately sold, all the rest of the 125,000 of these things were shipped back to Newsweek and shredded and destroyed and eliminated. And with extreme rapidity, these were printed and put in their place, and that's how it all ends. But the story doesn't end there. Obviously, there are more than 17 of these things floating around. And the first rumor that was kicked around was that, well, it's only a magazine. Somebody could have just simply printed something up. Some print house could have just said, well, we'll just make a reprint of it, a duplicate, if you will. I don't think so. Not that quickly. Not that perfectly. Without one of the 17, how are you going to know all the stuff that goes inside? All of it. So they had this whole, everything that's supposed to go inside. And yet, How did they do that? And here's another thing. If you're going to make a copy from pictures, you're going to get, it's going to be very fuzzy. I can't bring out just how fuzzy, because in this attempt to get pictures, they'll all look fuzzy. But they're no more or different fuzzy than what's in here. And obviously, this is an authentic original. Authentic originals of this are common as muck, and nobody thinks much of them. They may end up in the long term being actually rarer than the other, just because they're as common as muck now, or where they have been. All 125,000, or however many it was of these, were put out there, and it's only whatever didn't sell that got shipped back. So, but it really is the same. There's so many signs that if some other house had tried to duplicate it, it doesn't add up. The attempt at copy is just too perfect. There'd be a difference in size in the print. There'd be some flaws. Or like I said, the picture. Even this peculiar sort of creasing, let's see if I can bring this out, is the same. Showing that they're both bound the same way in the same house. And as if that isn't enough, these things are coming up on eBay literally within days of when this was the normal one that had come out. So where do they come from? If the 125,000 minus the 17 sold were one and all shredded, there seem to be hundreds of these things. And that's about the number. Estimates probably ranged anywhere, the several hundreds, maybe 400 something or so, seem to be for sure known of. Well, there's a clue in that. And the clue is that when a print house is contracted to make a large number, they always make a few extras in case something gets damaged in printing or something like that. It happens. It's missing pages. There's extra stuff sticking out. There's, pages get crumpled. They get caught in the machinery and don't go where they're supposed to go, and just stuff happens. And then there's also the factor when you ship stuff over, you might have things that are that just get damaged, like you're slicing open the pallet and suddenly you just slice the cover of a bunch of magazines and now they're worthless. So things like that. So they always print some extras. About how many? It's a very small fraction. For a press run of 125,000 is generally considered enough to print about an additional 500 or so. So Newsweek destroyed all 125,000 that they had received from Topix Media, minus the 17 that were legitimately sold. But Topix Media, nobody paid much attention over there. Somebody in there saw this whole great big stack of these things and just grabbed the whole thing and started selling them off. And that's how you get about 500 or so of these out there, minus however many might have been spoiled, but then plus the 17 that were legitimately sold but are in no way distinguishable from the ones from the extras of the press run. And that's where this came from. It is, therefore, and all these copies are, unless you start finding one that are lower quality, bona fide, legitimate copies of this 2016 version of Dewey defeats Truman. So it's always kind of fun when those things happen. At least it manages to be interesting, if nothing more, historically speaking. Anyway, that's all there was to that, and it's not much of a collection, but I thought it might be kind of interesting.